Welcome to this episode of Mercy Can't Stop Her. I am your host, Judith Kambia Obatusa, JKO. Last week, I was so knotted up with stress that I could not be on your airwaves. And prior to our 4-part series on how we can support women in difficult spousal relationships, we're talking about self-care. How can a woman who is in a difficult spousal relationship still care for herself when she cannot leave the relationship or where she is? So just to bring us back to that conversation today, we're talking about the impact of stress, the impact of the stresses of domestic violence on women, with particular emphasis on the hormones or female hormones. So before we get into this, I'd like us to just discuss what stress means. What is stress? Is it just a fleeting emotion or an inconvenient nuisance? According to scientists, stress is an intricate web of physiological and psychological responses triggered by the body's natural defense mechanism. So when we face challenging situations, our bodies release stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, preparing us to fight or flee. And actually now we have freeze or fawn. When it concerns women, stress takes on an even more significant role because the delicate hormonal dance that governs our bodies as women can be profoundly affected by stress, leading to a myriad of health issues. Today, I would like us to zone in on how stress wreaks havoc on female hormones and the consequences of that. Stress has almost beaten me down. And that's why this podcast is important, because there are women like me all over the world. Now, let's turn our attention to a harrowing reality, terrible and sometimes fatal reality faced by far too many women, the anguish of difficult and abusive spousal relationships. These situations are breeding grounds for chronic stress, where women find themselves trapped in an unrelenting cycle of emotional turmoil. So this abuser or this spouse is not willing to back down. They want to beat you down by creating difficult environments, stress-filled environments, to make you submit to their control. Living in an abusive partnership can create an environment of constant fear and uncertainty. The emotional abuse, manipulation, and gaslighting chip away at your self-esteem little by little, leaving you mentally and emotionally drained. And when children are involved, it could also lead to behavioral issues and other types of issues with your children, further compounding the stress. This form of stress is insidious and it puts an immense strain on the body, affecting the finely tuned balance of our hormones. Our hormones do not like stress, not to talk of chronic stress going on over a long period of time due to the relationships we find ourselves involved in. Research shows that women in abusive relationships often exhibit disrupted cortisol rhythms and altered levels of reproductive hormones. And for so many women going through things like irregular menstrual cycles, fertility challenges, inability to conceive, stress could be a factor in that situation. In some cases, the stress burden becomes so heavy that it elevates the risk of reproductive disorders and pregnancy complications when they do conceive. So, beyond the realm of reproduction, stress also takes its toll on other hormonal processes. Stress can, chronic stress can disrupt thyroid function, leading to hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism. It can also affect insulin levels, increasing the risk of insulin resistance and metabolic disorders. All these interconnected hormonal imbalances pave the way for a host of health challenges that women must grapple with. And why I'm still talking slowly is that I am still not at my 100%. But I couldn't be away for 2 weeks with no excuses. And I'm just imagining that this stress, how many people are like me who have endured chronic stress for so many years and who are now feeling the impact of stress on their bodies, on their health, and their well-being. Before we continue our journey into the impacts of stress on women's health and hormones, let's take a moment to thank our incredible sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Empowered Faith Teas, the Etsy shop that believes in empowering women to embrace their inner strength and resilience. Producing high quality content like Mercy Can't Stop Her requires time, resources, and dedication. We are passionate about sharing valuable insights and promoting women's well-being. But to keep doing so, we need your support. That's where Empowered Faith Teas steps in. Their beautifully crafted t-shirts and hoodies are not just about making a fashion statement, but also about sending an empowering message to all the phenomenal women and the men who support them out there. From uplifting affirmations to inspiring designs, each piece from Empowered Faith Teas is a reminder of the strength we carry within and the faith we believe in. By supporting Empowered Faith Teas, you not only enrich your own wardrobe with meaningful pieces, but also contribute to the sustainability of Mercy Can't Stop Her. Your purchases help us continue researching, producing, and delivering insightful episodes that inspire and empower women in difficult spousal relationships. So please head over to their Etsy shop today at www.etsy.com/shop/empoweredfaithteas and treat yourself or someone special to a heartfelt piece that celebrates the power of women the resilience of Black people, and the strength of our faith. Use the exclusive discount code She Thrives 23 at checkout to enjoy 10% off your purchase as a token of appreciation for being part of our amazing community. Now, let's dive back into our insightful discussion on how stress impacts our hormones and our health as women. Apart from menstrual irregularities, the interconnected hormonal imbalances that occur as a result of stress, chronic stress, can cause a host of other health challenges in a woman's body. These include high blood pressure, obesity, many other problems. Three of these major issues that people can get are things I would like to highlight. There are a lot of things that women can get. As a person who has lived with chronic stress for some decades, I am working with all my heart to live the life I am talking about on this podcast. And that's why it's important to me to share with others. I have been managing high blood pressure, obesity, and, and mood imbalances for a while. And I did not know that these things were caused by chronic stress. So it's important for us as women to not take these things lightly. Three of those things that can be caused by the hormonal imbalances as a result of chronic stress are: one, adrenal fatigue. So chronic stress and hormonal imbalances can lead to adrenal fatigue, causing symptoms like chronic fatigue, difficulty sleeping, and mood disturbances. So mood disorders. How does this situation, this chronic stress, affect us and create these disorders? Hormonal imbalances can impact neurotransmitters in our brain, leading to mood disorders like depression and anxiety. Another thing that chronic stress that causes through, making our hormones unstable, that is causing hormonal imbalances, is polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. I've been reading about this. I've been hearing people say I have PCOS. And I was so surprised to hear that stress can cause this. PCOS is a hormonal disorder where the ovaries produce excessive androgens, that's male hormones, leading to multiple small cysts on the ovaries. This condition can result in irregular periods, infertility, weight gain, unwanted hair growth. So you start having hair under your chin like a man, or under your nose, to the top of your lips, weirdness. It's a lot of learning for me, these things. See, it's important that we know that each woman's experience with hormonal imbalances is unique, and the severity and specific symptoms may vary. So if you or someone you know is experiencing any of these health challenges, it's essential to seek medical advice for proper diagnosis and treatment. And as much as we go to doctors and they give us medication, that's why it's also important that we also make our self-care a priority. We can't control what other people do, but we can control how we react. And rather than react, respond to those situations. I just want to tell you one thing: there is hope. Even in all of these struggles, there is still hope. Recognizing the signs of chronic stress in an abusive relationship is the first step toward healing and reclaiming control over your health. If you or someone you know is facing such a situation, please, I beg you, reach out for support. Talk to friends, family, professionals who can help guide you to safety. They used to tell me, take care of yourself. I didn't understand it. Now I'm older. The last 2 weeks have been so weird. Such depth of fatigue that I cannot explain. And there was a time on this podcast I kept talking about how it is not wise to stay in a bad relationship when you have children. Because the carryover that could occur means that you take this punishment on several levels and it's a long-standing challenge. And I'm saying this from my personal experience because the stress I have gone through in the last 2 weeks, let me just say it culminated into something really big in the last 2 weeks. It's as a result of me not coming from a background where I was empowered to know myself and to choose myself first, instead of trying to live up to society's expectation of what I should be as a woman in a marital situation. I will not keep quiet about talking about this because it is a real punishment when the carryover occurs in your children, when the chalice of misery is passed to the next generation. As a society, as a community, we must take action to dismantle the systems that perpetuate abuse. We must stand to support others. We must call people to order when they are found to be abusive. We must take action to dismantle the systems that perpetuate abuse and work towards creating safe spaces for women to thrive. When women are free from the shackles of fear and stress, they can regain hormonal balance and unleash their full potential. Do you know how many things, how much more better our world will be, our families will be, our communities will be, our society will be if we men were supported to reach their full potential in their relationships? Let that be food for thought. Next week, we'll be looking into coping mechanisms and continuing our conversation on self-care and stress relief strategies for women who find themselves caught in these turbulent waters of difficult spousal relationships. Remember, we can all play a role in supporting women in difficult spousal relationships to lead a life of health and empowerment. When we do this, mercy won't stop us. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.